You're listening to the Social Selling Simplified podcast. Stick around if you too are obsessed with learning things that actually work and believe that success leaves clues. We're all about identifying results-producing roadmaps and getting super clear on how to scale and grow your online business. From part-timer to president, social selling expert Ashley Shaw will help you connect the dots and take the guesswork out of what works to grow a social selling empire. It's time to hear from social selling legends, listen in on truthful conversations, and learn the best tips and tricks to reduce the marketing overwhelm so you can build a social selling business of your dreams. If you're ready to go all in, no holding back, and build the business you've always wanted, you're in the right place. Here's your host, educator, social selling guru, and fitness industry OG, Ashley Shaw.
Welcome to Social Selling Simplified. I'm your host, Ashley Shaw, and today I am so excited. We have Michelle Barnes on the call today, and let me just tell you about her. I just told Michelle she is the OG of network marketing. She has been in network marketing for the last 24 years, and here are some of the things that it just blew my mind when I found these out about Michelle. So first of all, she dropped out of law school at 23 years old and decided to go on the path of achieving something different. It really sounded you were on a path to do something completely different and you just chased after it. So these are some of the things that Michelle has accomplished. So she did 102,000 in her first year. With an MLM. She has been featured on MLM Nation. She did her first million before she was 30 years old. And she has also done 4 million in volume with the current company that she works for. So the reason that Michelle also blows my mind, and I couldn't wait to have her on the podcast, is she has worked for 5 different MLMs, but every time she has climbed right to the top. So I am so excited to welcome you here today, Michelle. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. I love what you're doing. I love the entire concept, and I think we need to get the word out about social selling and simplify it because it really is simple. It's not easy, but it is simple. So I'm excited to be here today. So thanks.
Amazing. So I think everyone that is listening today is because you have been, as I mentioned, the OG and original gangster in the social selling world. I think that let's just start from the foundation of things. So how did you get going with working in network marketing?
So, I think like all of us, I was taught to go to school, get good grades, go to college, that was the key to success. And, I live here in Colorado. I'm a native here. So I went to CU Boulder, number 1 party school in the nation at that time. So, I definitely, it was like a heavy duty cover charge for that 4-year party, So went to college, was the first person in my family to go to college. My mom had me when she was 18. She was a single mom. So, I was the first person in my family to go to college, went to law school after that. I had wanted to be an attorney since I was probably 13 or 14 years old until I got there. As soon as I got to law school in my first year, and I was interning with a couple of attorneys, and, they were just miserable. And I was the only female in the firm. And granted, I was just interning, but I looked at that and I was like, wait a minute, like, first of all, that's going to be me in 20 years, and they were always complaining, so miserable, and they were making great money, but they were not happy. And I looked at that and I was like, man, I don't want to be like that in 20 years. And I knew, I've known since I was born that I want to be a mom. So I'm like, how am I ever going to have kids and raise kids the way I want to raise them? And so it was almost like, I call it that, I think Oprah first coined the whole internal GPS. And so I feel like it was my internal GPS system was like, you're going the wrong way, and I knew I was I knew that I was really going to law school because, it was the key to success. If you wanted to make a lot of money and be successful, you needed to be like a doctor, an attorney, or a stockbroker. And I was like, okay, well, attorney sounds the best out of those 3. So I think that's why I chose it. And then so many people are like, oh, so proud, And so I feel like, to some extent I was living everybody else's dream instead of my own. And even though I think I would have loved practicing being an attorney, what just everything else about it, I'm like, ugh. After my first year of law school, I came back to Colorado and I was just like, there has got to be something else out there. There's got to be. And like literally I was just like praying and putting it out there. Like there's got to be something bigger. There's got to be something better. And I answered an ad in the newspaper, you guys. I mean, this was 24 years ago. The ad said sports minded. I was like, well, shit, I played sports. I have a mind qualified, Not a lot of logic went into it. It said $3,000 to $6,000 a month. I was like, oh my God, if I could just make $3,000 a month, I'd be rich. Cause here I was, 23, $80,000 in debt from college and law school. And so, for me, I was like, man, I was waiting tables and bartending. I was interning for a couple of attorneys. I was a personal trainer at the time. And so I was just like, man, if I could even make $3,000 a month, that would be so much money, back then. So I answered it. I walked in. Long story short, I saw products in the corner and I was just like, oh crap, like you got to be kidding me. I'm like, is this Mary Kay or something or Amway? And nothing against those. I was just ignorant back then and didn't realize that those two companies are giants, but that was all I had to compare it to. And I was just like, oh man, like here we go again. It's another one of these deals. I've seen these things before. Judgy, and prejudging. And luckily the guy that I was meeting with, we had built so much rapport, really hit it off on the phone. And he was just like, look, you know what? You were going to spend an hour with me. He's like, just check it out. He's like, if it's for you, great. If not, great. And I've literally been saying that statement to every person I talk to, whether it's about the products or the opportunity for 24 years. Like I don't end a conversation. I end a conversation with that every time. Hey, if it's for you, great. If not, great. It kind of gives them that out. So there's a little training in this as well. But luckily he said that. And I was like, all right, whatever, I'll sit here for the hour and then I'll tell you I'm not into it. And I sat there and like arms crossed, rolling my eyes. I was just like, oh, this is so stupid. I'm not going to be a vitamin lady. This is so dumb. And it was an ego thing, it was like, my ego is like, I, have been patted on the back for saying I'm going to be an attorney. How am I going to possibly go back to all those people and say I'm going to be a water filter vitamin lady? And so I look back, I was just worried about what other people were going to think, which we all do, which is so stupid. And, so long story short, I listened to the presentation. I was like the hallelujah person by the end. I was like totally freaking fired up, totally excited. What really got me, Ashley, was when they said that 3% of America retires financially independent. That's it. Wow. That 97% of America retire financially dependent on friends, family, and the federal government when they retire. And they said, you choose, which percentage do you want to be in? And I was like, oh my gosh, everybody I know that's doing the 40-year plan, 40 hours a week, for 40 years is retiring broke. People work so freaking hard for 40 plus years to have time freedom and money freedom. And 97% of America don't have either. And it was like the most gigantic 2x4 to my forehead to where I was like, oh my gosh. And when they said I could be my own boss, set my own hours, no one was going to tell me when to come, when to go, when to pee, when to eat. I was like, sign me up. Like I'm it. I'm definitely unemployable. And so if I had a job, I would probably get fired immediately. I just, so not for lack of, it's not from not being a good employee, but I just don't like being told what to do. And I'm a hard worker. I just want to do what I want to do when I want to do it, Yeah. So, that was it. And I got started and I really, like most people in network marketing, I got started to make an extra $500 to $1,000 a month. What happened was I fell in love with this industry. I fell in love with helping people's health. I fell in love with helping people's financial situation. And I accidentally made $102,000 my first year. I had no clue how the comp plan worked. I didn't care. I'm like, it's paying me. So I don't really need to know all the details. I've always been the type of person like, just tell me the driving behaviors that I need to do in order to get to the top of the comp plan. Like, I don't need to know how it works. Just tell me what I need to do to get to the top. And so that's what I did. And, it's been a long, up and down crazy road. I could probably write 3 books about all the bad things that have happened and the struggles. But in reality, like it's not easy, but my God, it's been so worth it. I'm a single mom, fast forward now, yes, made my first $1 million before the age of 30, the company that I'm with, I've been with for 4 years. But as a single mom with 2 boys, my boys are 8 and 11. They're like my entire existence. They're the reason I do what I do, besides like my team, my family. But, where else could I go, to make the type of money that I make, to live the lifestyle I've led for 24 years, and to be able to still be a mom too? And so I'm just super passionate about, helping people's health. I'm super passionate about, and one of the things I fell in love with the most was teaching people a better way of thinking. And so I'm kind of like a mindset freak. I'm a goal setting freak. I teach about time management all the time, because you don't manage time, you manage your choices. And, so for me, like the success that I've had in network marketing has created a platform for significance to be able to really teach people how to have the right mindset to see success in any industry. So
there are so many golden nuggets in what you've said. I had to take notes to make sure I don't lose any of them. So the first one that I wanted to touch on is, you said it's not that we are worried about, the products or the company when, I think we can all remember back to that, like sort of first time we got involved with a network marketing company. I definitely can remember mine. It was a company called Cutco, and it was selling knives.
Oh my God. I sold books door to door.
Oh, love it. Love it.
I did Southwestern books. What a great place to, cut your teeth, I guess, or whatever they say. Literally, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so what advice would you give someone that is in that place of they are worried about what others think? They really, really love the product, but maybe they have someone like in their lives that isn't as enthused about it. How would you advise that they kind of work through that and move through that phase of their life?
I call it O.P.O, other people's opinions, and it will make you or break you in this business. Mm-hmm. It'll make you or break you in anything. And, still to this day, even 24 years later, we still worry about what other people think. I mean, let's just be real, like if you're human, you're always going to be like, oh my gosh, what if I do this? What are they going to think? And I think unfortunately, it forces us to play small, and no one is ever going to be successful playing small. And one thing that I can say, when I was 23, I didn't really give a, about other people's opinions, because I had a vision that was so much bigger that was pulling me at that point. And I've had to refine that a lot of times over the last 24 years. But man, now it's like, can you imagine somebody telling me that this doesn't work? I've been blessed to make millions and millions of dollars in this industry. So of course, now if somebody's like, oh, network marketing doesn't work, I'm like, okay, you be right. I'll be rich,
Yeah.
like whatevs, dude. But, even back then, like my mom, who was like my best friend in the entire world, has always been my hero. She's always been my biggest fan. And, she was a nightmare, so here's someone who's always supported me in anything and everything I've ever done. And she was just like, oh my God, I can't believe you're doing this. You're quitting law school to sell vitamins. This is crazy. It's one of those pyramid deals. You're never going to make any money. Those things don't work, blah, 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 Mm-hmm. And it got so bad to where I was like, Mom, either I'm not asking you to believe in network marketing. I'm asking you to believe in me. Mm. And if you can't do that, then we need to not talk for a while. Mm-hmm. And I mean, for me to say that to my hero, my best friend. Now, of course, now 24 years later, my mom's like, I always knew you'd be successful, and I'm like, right, whatever. Yeah. But, there's no revenge like massive success, and once you see the success, it's like, all you want to do is shove it out there, and prove to people that they were wrong and that you were right and that you're successful. But once you get there, you're like, whatevs, you're like, I did it. I don't have anything to prove anymore, but, I think things have shifted so much now in the last couple decades. I know for the first couple decades, I felt like I was beating my head up against a brick wall, trying to figure out how to get more people winning. I was always winning, and I was always making a strong 6-figure income because I was willing to do what 99.9% of people would have never, ever freaking done. Mm-hmm. I have a work ethic that is just sick, But I looked at that and I was like, man, like I love Sam Walton's quote. He says, if you want to dine with the classes, you got to appeal to the masses. And I don't really you can't see the picture when you're in the frame. So once I was out of my last company and I had about 8 weeks with no income because I had the rug yanked out from underneath me. Our company was shut down wrongly. They were let back into business, but by then our company was destroyed. So I lost, $500,000 residual income overnight at that point as a single mom. And I spent 8 weeks just literally 17-hour days researching companies and comp plans and products and talking to top money earners and flying all over the country, meeting with CEOs because I'm like an energy person. So I got to feel their energy and know that they are for real, because, most of the time I'll know within seconds whether it's a fit or not, energy wise. And so it was a crazy 8 weeks. And once I was out of my last company, was amazing. Don't get me wrong. Like I was there for 14 years. It was my baby. I built it from the ground up, literally started that company with the CEO. But once I was out of it and once I saw that I never really believed, I always built belly to belly, face to face, home events, hotel events, parties, meetings, you name it, farmers markets, coffee shops. That is what I did for the first 2 decades. And I had a home-based business that was in everyone's home but my own, and it was fun and I loved it. It was, it was trying and it was tiring and I was away from my kids, but I loved it. And I was still my own boss and I still was making an incredible income. But what I realized, and especially in the last 4 years, is I never thought, I was one of those skeptical old school people. Like, even though I was, big on social media already, I didn't really believe in my heart of all hearts that you could build 100% online. And that's why I love what you're doing here with Social Selling Made Simple, because that's what it is, right? Social simplified.
Yeah, social selling simplified.
I said it and I was like, that doesn't sound right, but I like that too. So, that's what we're doing. We are literally building 100% online now, and people can still do the belly to belly stuff and it's encouraged, but they don't have to. And the beauty is that when you have systems in place and the right tools and the right leadership and the right culture, you can really do anything, And so it's just exciting to see, the only thing that remains the same is change. And the change that has happened over the last 24 years, it's change that had to happen to really create a safe space in the network marketing profession.
Right. A couple of things that really stand out about how no matter how many times, there's been consistent change, you've always managed to build to the top and become a top earner. So obviously there's clues there on what you're doing consistently. And you definitely talked about work ethic, but maybe there is no secret sauce besides that. But I can't help but believe you got to be doing lots of things right. So can you tell us, what do you think has really led to that through all your experiences? You've done it over and over and over again. You've repeated that success. So what do you think has really led to that?
I always tell people, I feel like I had and have 3 things going for me. I had a desire. I wanted a better life. You've got to really want it to do it big time, to make a little extra money here and there, little in, little out, little effort in, little effort, little reward back, but if you want to be immensely successful in anything, you've got to have a burning desire.
Can you tell me so for those that are, I want it, what is the difference? Where does the rubber meet the road there? How do you know that you will stop at nothing? How do you feel that desire, I guess, in your body? What's the experience?
You want it so bad. And you hear people always say, what's your why? Find a why that makes you cry. And, you hear all this stuff and it kind of goes in one ear and out the other because we hear it so often. And it's just like, oh, goal setting, it's that time of year again. And I do a huge, huge, powerful goal setting training every single year and open it up to everybody. But even with that, it's that law of familiarity. We get so familiar with hearing it that we're just like, yeah, goals, schmoles, yeah, set your goals, New Year's resolutions, blah, blah, blah. But the power in that and the power of knowing really why you want something, first of all, knowing what you want. Okay. Most people don't even know what they want. And what I've found with coaching and mentoring people over the years is that most people, I'll be like, what do you want? What fires you up? What do you really want with every ounce of your being? And they're just like, well, I want to get out of debt. and I want to, be successful. Well, like what? Like, what does that mean? Like, how do you want to be successful and why? And, oh, you want to make six figures? Well, why do you want to make six figures? What for? What are you going to do with it? Six figures is just over 100,000 a year. But what are you going to do with that? And so when you peel the onion a little bit more and you really dig deep and figure out what people want, and that's what's so powerful with even the goal setting that I do, because until you know what you want, you're never going to get it, And so you've got to know what you want, and it's got to be in front of you every single day. You've got to look at your goals in the morning. You got to look at them at night. You got to eat, breathe, and sleep them. And it's that burning desire. I mean, it's the first chapter in Think and Grow Rich. That's not on accident, And so you've got to have that burning desire. The second thing was I was coachable. I had the desire, a burning desire for a better life. I was sick and tired of money always being an issue. I was so tired of seeing my mom struggle and my family struggle. And even at a very young age, I was just like, you know what? Screw that. Like, I'm going to be rich. Like, I made a decision at probably 4 or 5 years old, watching my mom cry while paying bills, not knowing how she was going to keep a roof over our head when I was 4 years old. Like, I remember that like it was yesterday. And I also remember thinking, I don't want to do that. Like, there's got to be a better way. And so the burning desire, you got to be coachable too. Like, find people who have the results you want. This is not rocket science, y'all. I mean, like, I never made a science project out of this. Like, I always tell people, find people that have the results you want in life, do what they do, learn how to say what they say. You'll get their same results every single freaking time. If you do what the successful people in your company are doing, you will see success. Like, all I did was I grabbed onto mentors, and mentorship and leadership, guys, it's like a buffet. Take what you want, leave what you don't, because there were some leaders where there were things that I absolutely was like, oh my God, I am going to do what they're doing with that. But then there were other things I was like, kind of shady, not really. Like, that's not in integrity with who I am. So it's kind of like, take what you want, leave what you don't. It doesn't mean you have to become someone else. But you do have to act as if you are already them. Like, if you want to be an elite in your company or whatever your top ranks are, you got to act like it. And so I always say act as if. If you were making $10,000 a month right now, passive residual income, how would you walk? How would you talk? How would you act? What would your posture be like? What would your eye contact be like? What would your energy be like? What would your vibe be like? What would your presence be like? And you got to have that this second. And it's going to feel weird. And I don't want to get all crazy on you guys with going into the subconscious mind and stuff like that, because that's where I get all psycho and crazy because I love it. But seriously, your subconscious mind is going to pull you back into your comfort zone. It's going to try to protect you from doing something that is uncomfortable. When it's uncomfortable, do it more. Okay. Your comfort zone equals your wealth zone. So the more you get out of your comfort zone, the more money you are going to make, the more success you are going to have. If you're scared, you're on the right path. If you're uncomfortable, you're on the right path. That's a sign saying keep going. That is not a sign to say get smaller and not do it. Okay. And I remind myself of this every single day, guys. New levels, new devils. Okay. Like, it doesn't matter how successful you are. Like, there's always that next thing that you want to do, right? I mean, so you don't just get to the top of Success Mountain and be like, ta-da, because then there's another hill to climb or another mountain to climb. You know what I mean? So I had the desire, I was coachable, and I was willing to do the freaking work, y'all. I mean, like, I have a psychotic work ethic. Okay. And where most people have to force themselves to work, I have to force myself not to, like, I have to literally put my phone up on the second or third floor away from my family so I don't touch it, so that I can be present with my kids because I'm constantly like, oh my God, and I could do this and I got to do that. And blah, And so, you got to have the desire, you got to be coachable, and you got to be willing to work. It's not going to build itself, but you got to make a decision, because once you make a decision to be successful, the universe, the God, whatever you believe in, Yoda, Buddha, I don't care. It will move what you need into your life once you've made that decision and you start moving toward what you want. Magical things happen.
I love that. So the coachable aspect, then the advice there is find the people that are where you want to be and find out what they're doing. Ask them questions, document it.
Yeah.
And what would you say to them to know that they would say yes? How would you like to be approached if someone was reaching out to you?
I mean, people approach me every single day and they're like, what are you doing? How'd you do it? What are you doing today? And I mean, guys, it comes down to the most simplest things. I love John Maxwell has a new book out called The Power of Five. And literally, no matter what success somebody has, I guarantee you there's about 5 things that they do consistently every day, day in, day out, whether they feel like it or not, which that's the key. You know, a lot of times people, especially in network marketing, like we're our own bosses. So it's like, I remember there were times where I'd be like, hey, I'd look in the mirror and be like, can I go snowboarding today? Sure. Like I was like the coolest boss ever, you know? So you gotta, it's crazy to me, Ashley, people will work harder for someone else. They'll put 40 plus hours a week into a freaking job they hate. So they will work harder for someone else than they do for themselves. Then they get into network marketing. They say they're full-time, or even if they say they're doing it part-time, if they actually tracked the income producing activities and the amount of time that they were spending doing those IPAs, I guarantee you it would be little to nothing for most. Okay. So, I mean, I teach my team that they can literally build this business to a 6-figure income in 30 to 60 minutes a day. Now, obviously they're going to be in like a power hour. Okay. But you've got to have a DMO. You've got to have a daily method of operation. What are the like handful of things, 5 to 10 things that when done day in, day out with the proper intention of kicking ass, like it's going to happen. But you've got to do it when you don't feel like it. You got to do it when you're sick. You got to do it when you're tired. You got to do it on your birthday. You just do. Like, and when you build that hustle muscle, guys, it starts to just come automatically. It's like brushing your teeth, you know, it's like, you're not going to just not brush your teeth for 6 weeks, you know, but it's amazing to me how many people start this business. They're all fired up and they go crazy for like a week and then they disappear for like 3 weeks. And I'm like, where did you go? You know, it's like, that would be like, if I spent $500,000 to open a restaurant today, would I just close the doors and lock them for 3 weeks out of the month or even 7 days out of the month? No way. Like if the restaurant is closed, I am not making money. If you are not opening your mouth about your product and service and opportunity, your doors are closed. How can you do business with your doors closed?
That third thing you said about willing to do the work, that idea of writing down those income producing activities. Wow, that's such great advice and some amazing golden nuggets in there for any social seller to take and start with that foundation, those 3 things you just talked about. That was incredible. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Yeah.
So let's dive into a little bit more about your process. So I had discovered earlier the ATM. So I had heard of ATM before, add, tag, message, but I didn't know that you were part of creating this. And this was something that definitely was, can I say, originated within something that you were doing that you found was working. Can you explain a little bit more into that?
Yeah. So, I mean, our team is amazing. I mean, we literally, you know, and I think everybody believes they have like that hashtag dream team, you know, and, you know, it kind of like came about, you know, where what some leaders started creating, we created the groups and stuff and everybody's kind of like had a part in like putting it all together. But it was our team that kind of like created it to begin with. And then we gave it the name ATM because obviously add tag message, it's ATM. It's literally your ATM machine. And we've been fine tuning it now for probably the last 3 to 4 years. And I think, you know, it's never going to be perfect and we're constantly still figuring out ways to make it even better. But yeah, I mean, in the last, 4 years, we created a product group that has over 450,000 people in it. So the social proof in those groups. And so for those of you that don't know what ATM is or the ATM system, I mean, I've taught companies and done consulting for companies to create it in their own company. Because to me, there's enough abundance to go around. You know what I mean? And it's just the simplicity of it. It's something that anyone could do. I could teach my 8-year-old to do ATM. Like you literally you add a friend, you add them to a group, you tag them on the announcements post where there are a handful of quick videos that either explain your products and services or explain your opportunity. We happen to have a product group and we have an opportunity group. And, so if somebody just wants to hear about the products, great. We put them in the product group. You add them to the group, tag them on the video. If they want to know more about the business, you add them to the group, you tag them on the videos. And then a new person would put them in a 3-way chat. And this is where the magic is. It's almost like a modern day 3-way call. And so in Messenger, I mean, like I, have a gazillion messages at all time, but the beauty of these 3-way messages is that you can jump in, you can respond at your convenience, you can listen to it at your convenience. I can take chunks of time where I could be with my kids for 2 hours, totally present, but then I can jump into Messenger and I can return 20 or 30 messages in less than an hour and answer questions, cover objections, get people up and rolling. But now my new person is listening to me do it. So it's kind of an earn while you learn process. They're listening to me do it while I'm teaching them. I mean, they're earning money while I'm doing it. And it's all right there in Messenger. It's not like a three-way call that just disappears that they can never hear again. They can go back to Messenger and be like, how did Michelle answer that question again? You know what I mean? So it's magical. And like I said, the social proof in those groups is absolutely phenomenal. And, out of the, well over 4 million that our team did in November and just this last month in sales, over 80% of that is customer volume, And so with these groups and with the social proof, and when you see thousands of people's before and after pictures, it does the selling for you, So the social proof in there is amazing. But the system has it's been a total game changer for so many people.
You're cracking the code. I've got backup because I know there's going to be so many people wondering about how this process starts off. And so let me ask you this. So when it comes to adding people to the group, how do you add people consistently to the network to then be able to add them to your groups?
Okay, so that is actually part of our people's DMO. So when somebody first let's say you start working with me, Ashley, and you get started working with me, I have a system in place where I would first have you post a curiosity post, okay? We teach attraction marketing. I don't want you spamming your freaking Facebook page, that is like the worst, you guys, and I know there's still people out there doing it, and God bless you, just stop. People fast forward through commercials for a reason, you guys, nobody wants to see it. And, I see the companies and the people that are still doing it, and I love them to pieces, but I'm just like, you see, and they have like 2 likes, and it's 2 people from their company. It's their upline and the one person they enrolled, that actually like their post. And, nobody wants to see that stuff. So we teach people how to do curiosity and attraction marketing. So, we're known for the spoon posts. I mean, you probably see spoons all over the place, and it has kind of become like our gig. And so what we do, and you can pick anything in your company, you guys, pick something that you can create a curiosity post. Like I will tell people, do not put the name of the company on your page. Yep. Do not, hold up the product with names all over everything. Because why? Because then they look at the name, they see the name of your company, they go to the Google, and, chances are whether they see good or bad stuff about your company, they're going to go down a rabbit hole, or they're going to go to the website and they're going to be like, never mind, forget it. It's one of those deals. I don't want them to do that. We have the infamous spoon post, and we have the bye-bye belly fat, and we literally create so much curiosity, you guys. I will literally, if someone signs up with me and their goal is to lose 10 or 15 pounds, I'm like, okay, Ashley, here's the deal. You just bought your pack. You're going to do a spoon post, and you're going to say, oh my gosh, I finally gave into this. I've been seeing these freaking spoons. I've been seeing so many friends, getting skinny and looking so hot. And I tried to just ignore it, but oh my God, I can't ignore it for another second. I finally caved. I'm joining the spoon fam, or just something silly and fun. Mm-hmm. But we will put a picture of a spoon with the product on the tablespoon, and just a picture of that. That's it. So then people are like, oh my God, Ashley, what is this? Oh my gosh, what is this? Oh my gosh, what is this? Curiosity killed the cat, guys. I mean, think about a cat, if you shove a ball of yarn in its face, it's probably going to claw your eyeballs out, but if you pull the string along, the cat's like, I want to know more. Okay. And it's that simple. And so we'll start someone with a curiosity post like that. They get a handful of customers before we call it launch before it lands, or beat the box. Mm-hmm. We literally have a system in place where we have somebody ATMing their face off in the first 10 minutes of getting started with us. Wow. So they don't even have time to reevaluate their entire existence. You know how new people do that in our business? Yeah. They sign up and then they contemplate, to consider, to evaluate, to reevaluate their entire existence on what they should do and how they should do it. And oh my God, what is Aunt Martha going to think? And and then they're like a deer in headlights and they do nothing. And a lot of times as leaders, we overwhelm the crap out of them. We give them 18 getting started packets and a list 16 miles long of what they should do. Well, they're just like, oh my God. And they're part-time. So they probably have families and they have full-time jobs. And they're just like, oh my gosh, I have to do all of this. Give them one thing. So I always say your next step is, that's it. I will end every conversation with, hey, Okay, awesome. You did that. Great. Okay. Now your next step is to do this. Like how do you feed it? How do you eat an elephant one bite at a time? And so we will have them do a spoon post. We'll have them do a curiosity post. We get them ATMing within the first 10 minutes. Now, a lot of people, the typical person has, I think, 300 to 600 friends on Facebook. Okay. So there will be people that come into your team that have a lot more influence, and maybe they have 2,000 or 3,000. Maybe they have 5,000. Maybe they have 15,000 followers. Okay. Obviously, someone who has 15,000 followers is going to get a lot more response on their curiosity post than someone who has 300 friends. So what do we need to do? Well, we need to build up your audience. So we teach people how to do that as well. So what I tell people is reach out to 5 to 10 people a day, like make new friends. Just like we did offline, we're doing it online now. So whether it's in groups, whether it's things that you're passionate about, like I am a boy mom, so I'm in a bunch of boy mom groups. I love yoga, so I'm in a ton of yoga groups. I'm like total spiritual gangster type. So like I like rap and country. So like I'm in just crazy groups, guys. But you know what? I know that if I go into groups and start making friends, and I always do it with a friends first mentality, guys. Don't go out there with a hunting mentality. Go out there with a fishing mentality. Like if you go out there trying to like hunt and shoot and blast everybody, they feel it. You don't want to have commission breath. There's some leaders in my team that coined it as commission breath, and it's gross. Like what you emanate, when you emanate, like you look at every person like they're a dollar bill. You think they don't feel that? Of course they do. So you want to really just sincerely make friends. Like I make new friends on social media every single day, and it's so fun to me. And whether they ever end up in my business or not, like if they do, that's so freaking awesome. But if not, like I have a new friend. And they know that I'm sincerely a friend first, but guess what? If something happens and they're dissatisfied or they're frustrated or they're looking for a new home or their company goes out of business, because I was a friend first and because I'm a human first and a marketer second, guess who the first person they think of? When something like that does happen, I'm usually the first person they call. Like, hey, I want to know more about what you do, or what the hell company are you in anyway? Because usually they don't even know. Like I have had so many people sign up with me. They're like, I freaking looked for 3 hours trying to figure out what the hell company you are with. And I'm like, good, then I'm doing it the right way.
Yeah.
Like I want you to ask me. I don't want you to go to the Google and prejudge or, go down some weird ass rabbit hole on social media or on the Google. And I want you to reach out to me and say, hey, I want to know more, because then you're opening the door for me to walk right through.
Yeah. And so you would go through, I love how you just frame that. There's so many similarities with stuff I teach with the Done For You content about the curiosity, the attraction, all social media, the purpose is about. So it's so cool that you guys have that right built in, and finding people that have similar interests first. That comes first.
Yes.
And make it not, then it's not, you said, commission breath. That was just golden. Love that. So once you do that and you're doing your posts, if they are engaging with it, that's when you would tag them and message them. That's when that process happens.
Exactly. Cool. Exactly. And a lot of the money's in Messenger, guys. I mean, and you want to use the voice feature as much as you possibly can.
Love
because, I like to hear people's energy, like I'm such an energy person that, and it's crazy how many people I leave a voice clip and they're like, oh my God, that was so cool. Like some of them have never even used it before, and they're like, and so you can go back and have like a real conversation back and forth, just like you're on the phone. But if they're cooking dinner or they're feeding their kids or they're racing kids off to, and of course I use the kids analogy because I have to, and they're busy and I'm busy, but it's awesome, And so friends first, and finding people that I like recruiting people that I would love to have a cocktail with. Like if you are not someone that I want to sit and spend an hour with having a drink, then we're probably not a good match. There's probably somebody better for you. If it's somebody that like, man, I want to hang out with this person. This person's freaking cool. Like those are the people that I like to bring into my business because I know that we're going to crush it together. So finding like-minded people, I don't care if it's basket weaving, guys. I don't care if it's golden retrievers, like whatever it is that floats your boat, whatever you love, it doesn't have to have anything to do with network marketing, guys. It's just about friends first, being a human first, a marketer second.
That just gives me, when everything you hear something and you feel so aligned with it. I just love that.
I just got chills when you said that.
That is so cool. And the voice thing, what I found so interesting about Messenger is like the building rapport happens through the words we use in tonality. So you have that ability, like you said, change your voice. And that's what people will either decide, yeah, I'm following you, or, I'm not. And it's a good way to, I just think build that excitement and transfer that positive energy.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me see. I wanted to dive into a few questions here around teaching others, because you said something really profound at the beginning of our interview about how there was sort of this divide between you had this work ethic to get it done, you had all that, but translating that and finding people to also do that teaching component was not, people maybe weren't just popping up that had that exact same work ethic. And tell me if I've gotten that right. I want to make sure that I've not misquoted that in any way.
No, I think it's totally true. I mean, it's like finding a needle in the haystack, to find, those statistics, the 3%, 97%, they are what they are. And, that it probably won't change, unfortunately, but we do have the choice and that we can make a decision on which percentage we want to be in. And if you want to be financially independent, or if you want to become wealthy, which is 1% of our population, at least here in America, probably have listeners all over, but, here in America, at least, I mean, if you want to be financially independent, it's 3%. And if you want to be, wealthy, it's 1%. And, I think, like I said, it does start with a decision. It starts with a work ethic, but it really starts with getting your mind right, and if you don't have the right mindset, everything that you're doing on a daily basis is for nothing, because if you don't think you're going to succeed, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't, and it's a kind of a double-edged sword, what I've seen over the years is it's like, it's a double-edged sword. It's like, you got to do the work in order to get the confidence. And people think, well, once I'm confident, then I'll do the work. It can't be that way, And I think that's the hardest part for our subconscious mind and for us to move into action, because we're like, I'm not confident yet. Well, the way that I got confident, thank God I had a mentor that said, talk to 10 people a day, make 10 grand a month. And that, like at 23, I feel like that was one of the only things I heard. And so I was like, okay. And back then it was book 10 people a day to come into an office for an hour-long freaking presentation. Yeah. And we were doing the presentation 7 to 9 times a week. So here, like, I was booking someone on the phone to come into the office to see an opportunity meeting way freaking harder than ATM, you guys. But you take those offline skills and bring them online, what if you ATM 10 people a day? What if you were, it's still the same concepts, guys. We're still prospecting, we're still inviting, we're still presenting, and we're still following up and following through, and then coaching and training. So we're still doing all those things. We're just doing it online instead of offline. But I knew that I had control over the numbers. I didn't have control over if somebody said yes. I didn't have control over, I couldn't control at that point whether they said yes or no to my opportunity or to me, but I could control the numbers. And I love what Jim Rohn says. He says, make up in numbers what you lack in skill. And I sucked at the beginning. There's still things I suck at, guys, but the more you do it, the better you're going to get. So luckily this mentor said, book 10 people a day, you make 10 grand a month. So I literally, on my little legal pad, which I still do to this day, if there's one piece of advice that I could give is make sure that your to-do list is more people oriented than task oriented, because people get so busy, and the broke is, you notice the most broke people are the busiest. It's like busy, 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 and they're always the most broke people. And I'm like, wow, you're so freaking busy. Like you're so broke, but are you productive? Are you being active or are you being productive? And so you have to ask yourself, is what I'm doing right now making me money? And if it's not, stop freaking doing it. If your goal is to be successful, your goal is to make money with your opportunity, stop doing the stupid stuff that is just wasting time to make you feel like you're busy and to make you feel like you're doing something. Make sure it's productive, And so the 10 people a day, I would literally write 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 at the top of every single day. And I wouldn't let myself go to bed until I booked 10 people a day.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the difference, I think, between people that are willing to do the work. I remember back to the days when I was selling knives and there was this like little office that we went in to go work at. That's all there was. It was, you had your list of appointments you needed to book. And back then you said it was hard, right? I'm going to show up at your house with my Homemaker +8 and I'm going to show you my knife demo. How many no's did I need to get a yes? Well, it was a lot, but there was no other option. There were no other distractions. And I see it all the time with people. Well, I was busy engaging and doing this and, with posts. And it's like, it's BS. It's not what is going to get you to move forward in your business. So I guess
if your prospects aren't seeing a presentation of some form, whether it be about your products, your service, or your opportunity, you're not signing anyone up, So you have to really get to the bottom of what does it take to make money in your business and do those things. And again, it's usually less than a handful of things, but if you just do it consistently and do it day in, day out, you're going to get better at it. You just are.
Yeah. And so when you're bringing someone on to work with you, with your team, because this is a question that comes up all the time with how to recruit people to the opportunity. What are those 5 things that you truly believe do this and you will just be successful, but do these things and don't cop out on it?
To me, the consistency piece is everything. I always tell people, give me 90 days of consistency and it will change your entire life. And like if somebody could literally check off on a calendar that they left it all on the table, they did those 5 things every day, day in, day out for 90 days, and if they didn't do it for 90 days, they got to start over. But if they did it for 90 days, gave me 90 days of a consistent positive attitude, okay, energy is everything and everything is energy. If your energy sucks and you have a negative attitude, guys, that's what you're attracting. Whatever you're feeling is what you're attracting. My kids are constantly like, thoughts are things, because I've ingrained it so much in their head, that even if something negative comes out of my mouth, my 8-year-old's like, thoughts are things, mom, So I love when they use my stuff on me, But seriously, guys, your thoughts lead to your feelings, which lead to your actions, which lead to your results. So you put positive in, you're going to get positive out. You put negative in, you're going to get negative out. So you've got to be positive to begin with. Positive thoughts, positive feelings, whatever you're feeling is what you're attracting. So if you feel crappy, that's what you're attracting. So you got to change that vibe quick. And I call it being the spin master. It's kind of like my gig. There's a whole story that goes behind that if we have time, I'll share it with you. But, I would say you're the gatekeeper of your mind. And the only thing you have 100% control over are your thoughts. And so once you control your thoughts and get good at that, then you can control the way you feel. And by becoming the spin master, I would say you want to get really good at spinning every negative thought into a positive one, spinning every negative situation into a positive one, spinning any kind of negative vibes or feelings into positive ones. And the faster you can do that, when you become the spin master, your entire life will change, for the better. And so to answer your question, I think you said, what are the 5 things? So one is obviously personal development, guys. I mean, I don't think that there's been a day in 24 years, even when I'm sick, that I haven't done some form of personal development, whether it's listening to a podcast, listening to a book on Audible, whether I always read at least, 5 to 10 pages a day. If you guys haven't read The Miracle Equation, oh my God. And you're going to love this because the guy that wrote it sold Cutco knives.
Oh, anyway, I love it.
Yeah. So, but I, read about a book a week and I'm usually listening to at least 1 or 2 on Audible. So, I mean, guys, you can maximize the time that you have. I literally I've showered with all the greats. I take my phone into the shower with me because I'm like, what a waste of time. I'm shaving my legs for 15 minutes,
Yeah.
I'm in the shower. And so I just take my phone in there, I put it on the shower rack and, and I'm listening to Tony Robbins or Gary Vaynerchuk or Grant Cardone or Jim Rohn or whoever. And I'm listening to these things in the shower while I'm putting my makeup on. I'm listening to a podcast or I'm listening to something, positive in, positive out. So the personal development every day, it starts with getting your mind right and having that kind of check up from the neck up. You know what I mean? But then do the thing. So, make 5 to 10 new friends a day. And I'm going to talk a little more social media because that's what we do.
Yeah.
So I would say add 5 to 10 new friends a day on social media and friends first, really, truly friends first. Add 5 to 10 new friends a day. If you only have 300 friends, you have 300 eyeballs that are going to see your curiosity post. If I have 17,000 friends on Facebook, I have 17,000 eyeballs that are seeing my curiosity post. I'm clearly going to get better results and more engagement with 17,000 than you are with 300. But here's the thing, guys. I started with one, myself, on Facebook. Okay. So don't compare. And that's another thing. And I saw one of your posts last week, I think it was Ashley, about comparison. And, comparison is the thief of joy, guys. Like, stop comparing your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 22. Like, it is going to mess with your head so bad. Just stay in your own lane. Keep your blinders on, focus on your yoga mat, and just stay in your space. Because here's the thing, guys, just do the things that you are being told to do. Add 5 to 10 new friends a day, reach out to 5 people, at least add 3 people to a group, if you're doing the ATM system, or reach out to 5 people and send them a video link or whatever your method of operation is. Okay. So like I tell my team, add 5 to 10 new friends a day, reach out to 5 to 10 people a day and ask them. And you got to pop the question. You get what you ask for. It's amazing to me how someone will build rapport with somebody for 3 years and never ask them if they're open to taking a look. And they end up signing up with somebody else in another company because you never asked them. I mean, even if you have 600 friends on Facebook, how many of those friends have you actually popped the question to and asked if they're just open to taking a look? That's all you want to know. I mean, whether they do it or not, who cares? Marry the process, divorce the outcome. Okay. And so I'm telling you guys, if you just do the numbers and get really good at it and get your confidence up by doing it, the rest is going to fall into place.
I love that. Marry the process, divorce the outcome. Love that. Okay. So one a little bit deeper question about this is, so Facebook allows you to have 5,000 friends, if I'm not mistaken. Right. So what do you do after that point? How do you go after it then?
So then people are able to follow you, which is great, I guess. But it bums me out. I'm like, hey, Zuckerberg, come on. Like, why is there a 5,000 friend limit? I think it's so stupid. I think we should all just post on the same day at the same time. Like, Zuckerberg, let us have more than 5,000 friends. I have more than 5,000 people on my team, and so I can't even be friends with everybody on my team. It's like, come on, It's ridiculous, so then they can follow you, but then you don't see their stuff. They see yours, but you don't see theirs.
You don't see theirs.
And so, cause you're not friends with them, but they're following you. So they see your stuff. So they follow you, but you're not friends with them, but still you can see who your friends and followers are, Right. So what if you started with the A's and you started just, reaching out to people, and if you haven't talked to them in a while, reconnect. If you've talked to them in the last 90 days and you've been having a conversation, why not pop the question and say, hey, you know what? I saw something you posted the other day and man, just made me think, like, I don't know if you're open to taking a look at this. I think you'd be so freaking awesome at it. Are you open to just checking it out? If it's for you, cool. If not, cool.
Yeah. I love that. The idea of the friends first and real true friends, and then that follow-up piece, and then popping the question, that sequence of events. Cause I always joke about the hey girl messages where it's straight to the commitment, and it's that I think sometimes part of it, what turns people off is they've had that message, to them before. Times. Yeah. So I love that. I love that the building rapport part happens first and your intentions are true right from the start. I think that. Yeah.
And I think, but I think not, like, I hate the hey girl message, but also, and I still say hey girl because that's just kind of how I talk, but, but that particular message, but also don't build rapport for 3 years.
Yes.
100%. Like, and I think if you are connecting with people that you vibe with, they will open the door for you to walk right through. They're going to say something about, oh my God, your skin looks amazing. Oh my God, how'd you lose 23 pounds? Or, or, oh my gosh, like you're going to Cabo again, so they're watching, guys, and they are all watching you. So show up too, like you don't have to be a 6-figure or 7-figure earner to show up, and when you show up consistently, like there's something to be said for visible, consistent leadership, and some of you might be saying, well, I don't really think I'm a leader yet. If you signed up in this business, you're a leader. And if you've enrolled even one person, you're leading someone, and so I always tell my team, leader of one, leader of many. If you can't lead one, you can't lead any. And so if you can't lead yourself, how are you ever going to lead a team? People are always like, oh, I wish I had a team as big as hers. Well, what would you do with it if you did? Because you're not even leading your freaking self right now, And so you got to lead yourself first and lead by example, and you'll be amazed at what happens.
It's such good advice. And I hear that all the time from people, social sellers that I work with. How do I build a team, and how do I do this, and how do I recruit? And that's so right. Like, look at your daily actions and your daily habits, and let's look at how to get those consistent first, because like you said, like, how are you going to teach anyone if you're not able to create that own consistency for yourself?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And guys, success loves speed. You can sign up one person a month, for the next 12 months, or you can sign up 12 this month, and it's the same amount of people. But when you bring in a class, like I love what Eric Worre talks about with the like recruiting 20 and 30 days. When you bring in a class of people together, now you got like the energy, like you got all this awesome energy working in one chunk of people where it's like, oh yeah, we're all new. We're all the class of 2020. Like, let's rock this thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, don't make this business more painful than it needs to be.
Yeah. What I've really gotten from you is that people need to stop making this so hard. It's not hard. There are 5 things that you need to do, and you need to do them every day. And you need to really connect with why the heck you're doing what you're doing, and be able to deeply visualize what you want your life to look like and feel like, so that every day you're connected to why you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly. You got to find something that gets you up early, keeps you up late, that fires you up, And when you do, but a lot of people, they like being comfortable, and I get it, but create true time and money freedom and see how comfortable you are,
Yeah. Yeah. Love that. So I think, Michelle, I'm going to absolutely need to have you back, because we didn't even crack a little bit into talking about all the mindset stuff that I know is your jam. I've just been enthralled with listening to you. You have so much wisdom, and you're such a great storyteller. You're just so easy to listen to.
You're so easy to chat with. I feel like we're just hanging out. I'm like, we should have a glass of wine right now.
I know. I wish I would have known that you were in Denver, because I was there not too long ago for a fitness retreat that I was leading there. Oh my gosh. Next time for sure. That's awesome. So cool. Yeah, totally. So where can people reach you or reach out to you? Where do you like to be contacted?
Yeah, probably Facebook is the best. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. It's Michelle Barnes Success Coach on both. That's my handle on Facebook and on Instagram. I also have a site, Mentoring by Michelle, that we're kind of working and fixing and changing and doing some fun stuff with. And so, but you could definitely, fill out the form on there. I have my goal setting training from last year. I'm doing it this year. So I'll definitely get you the information so you can just get it out to everybody. I still have the one for this year as a free download on mentoringbymichelle.com/goals. So people are more than welcome to grab that, but I will be doing a new and even better version here in the next couple weeks. But yeah, Facebook is great, and I'll always check that other filter, because obviously I do have 5,000 friends, but I delete people every day and try to look for inactive accounts and stuff like that. So
perfect. So they should
if you send me a private message, follow me for sure. But send me a friend request and send me a private message, and then I'll definitely get back to you.
Cool. And I'll make sure to put this all in the show notes so that everyone has that link and they can get your goal setting training and really dive into building the life of their dreams.
Yeah. I would love that.
That's amazing.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
I love your energy, and I love what you're doing. And, I love the space that you're creating for people. So thank you.
Thank you so much for being a part of today's show.
Thank you.
If you're ready to go 100% in building the business of your dreams, I'd love for you to apply at ashleyshaw.ca/mastermind. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I'll see you right back here for the next episode on Social Selling Simplified.